It's the biggest crowd I've seen at a greyhound meet ever. Good luck, everyone. Slot holders, trainers, owners and fans, we're set to go. The Phoenix.
Well, a massive pool of water has gone out under the bridge, now into the ocean, and we're in the final week to the grand final of the 2024 Phoenix. This is what it's all about. Cannot wait for this Saturday night. December 21 at the Meadow is going to be a huge, huge night, and they're telling me it's the biggest party in greyhound racing, and that is a concern because my spies tell me the box draw was a big party, and our man Smithy is living proof that it was a pretty big party yesterday. Smithy, as I welcome you, mate, you've got the Hydrolite, you've got the Sunnies, you've got the cold pizza, you're not feeling well. What's going on?
Yeah, I think there's probably a few people that are think you're joking about that, but I do have all of that as I get my cold pizza out that's ready. I got my Hydrolite. I got the sunnies, which you said, Corey, please don't wear the sunnies in the record. But no, a little bit crook as well, so it's not the greatest combination, but it was a hell of a fun day, box draw day, and the box draw itself was very, very intriguing.
The review, I guess, of the Silver Chief from last Saturday night, and could play a little bit of a part potentially in the reserves as we get to that a bit later on, but epitomised. Look, you said last week you're pretty keen on him drawn out wide. He's just going to that next level, and to cross a field as talented as that Silver Chief was from box number 8, he is just an out-and-out superstar of the sport. And what is he, 10, 11 starts in? Like, it's a pretty scary prospect, epitomised, and a credit to Team Greeno as well.
Yeah, and we often see with Team Greeno that they don't throw their dogs in the deep end very often. We saw Wow She's Fast was probably the exception to that rule, and Epitomise has basically only raced in feature racing, whether it be the Highway 31 Maiden Series at Healesville to kick off his career, into the Great Chase, into the Melbourne Cup, and now into a Silver Chief series that he managed to take out. He's a proper greyhound, and he has just blistering early speed. And we spoke about his heat run a fair bit, Jim, where I actually thought it was the best run of his career. I know the time wasn't there, but the manner he did that win in, being parked 3 wide, I thought he was super tough, and he had to be gritty as well in the final. He had Deadly Avenger on his hammer, and there's probably a part of me that thought down the back maybe Deadly Avenger will get him, but he was tough, he was gritty, and he was too good.
He was gritty, he was tough, a little bit like you, Smithy. I just want to, I guess, wind the clock back a little bit because we sort of skipped on from the box draw pretty quickly, and not so much the draw. I want to find out who was best on ground, because if you, part of the Meadows clan, have pulled up like this, so I'm suggesting there might have been a few that drank the Bells Hotel dry. Who do you reckon was best on ground yesterday at the box draw?
Well, I don't know about best on ground, but Paul Abella, he always manages to come to the box draw each and every year. He was going to have a runner in it. Unfortunately, McKenna got injured, but he was there, and he was in some good form as well. He's a good man. But yeah, it was a fun day. Not everyone hung around as late as a few of us from the Meadows did, but I was still in bed at a reasonable time and ready to get back into work nice and early this morning when the trial started at 8 a.m.
Yeah, was Paul the last one to leave from the outside of the Meadows group?
I think he might have been actually. Yeah, yeah, he was definitely one of the hangers on, but we liked that. It's good fun.
Big race preview. I've been so excited about this for so long, it's not funny to preview the big race that is the Phoenix. There's been so many pieces of the puzzle that have slowly been getting slotted together with the slot holders, and we've got it now. The box draw into box number 1, last year's defending champ Scalacci. Box 2 for Big Energy off that good trial last week. 3, Excavation, the Top Gun winner. Box number 4 for Sunset Fraser. Box 5, Daysea's Rory, representing Queensland after winning the Flame. 6, the Green Lakeview Emily. 7, the Black Smooth Plain. And box number 8 for, I'd say, the race favourite. He is at the moment as we go to air recording this Monday morning, but he's around the 320 with most bookies at this point in time. And this is his final start. We've heard that. He's off the Melbourne Cup win. He's arguably the best dog in the country, so great to see him in the field and then jumping from box number 8. Starting with Explicit, I mean, is this the greatest fairy tale in greyhound racing if he was to have his last 2 race starts, win a Melbourne Cup and a Phoenix? It doesn't get much better.
Oh, there's been plenty of good fairy tales over the years, but it'd just be a great ending to what is a great career already. He's a Melbourne Cup winner. He's a Temley winner, multiple Group 2, Group 3 winner. He's got a really, really nice resume. He's going to be in hot demand when he heads to stud, but to be able to cap that off with a Phoenix, clear the $1 million barrier very, very comfortably, it would generally be a true fairy tale, I'd imagine, Jimmy boy.
Mate, what about Scalacci, the defending champion? He's drawn box number 1, and I guess he just has to repeat what he did last year to be a real genuine chance in this year's Phoenix. He did have a trial only just moments ago, mate, as we record Monday morning. Did he trial okay, the great Scalacci?
Yeah, he trialled well, 5:10, 17:65, which I think was actually faster. He's followed a similar preparation than last year, and I think he trialled quicker this year than he did last year, which is an ominous sign for his rivals. He's got box number 1, and we spoke about fairy tales with Explicit. It'd be one hell of a fairy tale if he can go back-to-back for Talge and Ladbrokes Racing Club.
The scenes last year after the race, and I think it was a credit to those who were defeated in the Phoenix as well. I mean, I saw Cal Greeno in the footage. I was only watching again the other day, and he's hugging Jihad Talji like he's won the race. Like, it just shows how good these trainers are in defeat and how they just love seeing trainers around them also do well, which I reckon you don't see in competitive sport just about anywhere else in the world.
No, it's a sign of how good the people are that are involved in our sport, and you and I both had the privilege of interviewing some of these connections directly after a big race win, and it's absolutely special to be behind there, and there is true happiness for other people coming from the direct competitors, which is odd.
The big energy he trialled, and we've got that vision rolling now. What did you make firstly of his trial? I mean, if Smooth Plane doesn't go as quick as he does, you're probably sitting there going, that was an outstanding trial, but Smooth Plane did go about 3.5 lengths quicker than him, and he's arguably the quickest dog in the country, so I'm not sure how that makes sense, but he has won back-to-back shootouts, big energy. He's an absolute star, and I think he's drawn probably a draw that gives him a real genuine chance of winning the race.
Yeah, absolutely. If you had have said that was going to be his trial time in the 29.6s pre-race, you would have been really happy with that run. Smooth Plane obviously obliterated the clock, was a phenomenal performance. We'll talk about him shortly, but Big Energy's a very fast animal, and I know he's closer to the end of his career than the start, but he is a massive chance from the draw. Whether he's going to get into a good spot from there, he does need to still nail the start, which he didn't do in his trial, so that's probably the knock on him, but you're kind of nitpicking when you're kind of saying things like that. When he's got box number 2, who knows? He might sit straight behind the speed, and we know how strong he is.
Excavation, can he dig up near the inside and hold a place and take out another of the big races here at the Meadows? He's arguably quick enough to win the race. He's a $6 chance as we record, mate. Can he do it from box number 3? I don't half mind the draw for him.
Yeah, well, you at it one of two ways. You can look at it, you've got Sunset Fraser on his outside that's likely to pour on a fair bit of pressure, but then he's drawn low Excavation, likes to run a pretty straight line, and it's a similar draw to what he had in the Top Gun, and he just blew them away again yesterday, the Top Gun, and it was just a phenomenal performance. He's a proper race dog. We've seen him win multiple Group 1s, and he's still so young and has such a big career ahead of him, but yeah, it would not surprise me at all to see him land the biggest one of them all.
Hey, mate, it's great to have you with your big beady eyes there at the Meadows, just keeping an eye on all of the trials, because Sunset Fraser, in the lead up to the Phoenix, he did have a blowout last week, and drawing box number 4, I thought his Melbourne Cup heat win was the best run I've seen in the last 5 to 10 years in greyhound racing. That's how good it was. So he obviously tumbled in the Melbourne Cups. There was that query. Then we weren't sure if he was going to be selected for the Phoenix, but they have gone with this greyhound, and he's got his place now, and he did trial very, very well.
Yeah, absolutely he did. As you mentioned, he came down in the Melbourne Cup, which is never nice to see, but he seems to have come through that with no ill effects. As you mentioned, the trial was red hot, and that was great to see. And now Jeff Britton will just work him at home, keep him going up there straight there, and get the miles into his legs that way. And look, he's a dog that needs probably 10, 20, 30 metres of clear air in the early stages, but I don't think there's any dog that has the turn of foot that he has. We saw that in the Melbourne Cup heat with him breaking Fernando Bale's second split record. We keep mentioning it, but as we should, because that was a phenomenal performance. The overall time was there as well, so he's just going to need a little bit of luck in the early stages to put him himself in the race, and if he does, he's going to be hard to beat.
What about Lakeview Emily, mate, for the Whelan's from Meetung? A fairy tale story for them to have a runner in a race like the Phoenix, and to be fair, if you go through her last 4 or 5 runs, she's gone 25.55 at Warragul, 29.66 at the Meadows, defeating Smooth Plain. She then got beaten in a Melbourne Cup heat after being crowded up early. Then goes to the Meadows and runs 29.55, and then back to Sandown and runs 29.10. So she's won 4 of her last 5. I did see that she went around 22.10 at Warragul in a 400 trial through the week as well, which might have been half the reason the Storm have elected to go with her. But she's a machine. She loves the Meadows. She's got speed. She could roll straight to the front, and she could give this Phoenix one hell of a shake.
Yeah, you look through her form and there's different patches of really good form. She probably went off the boil a little bit for a while there, but she's back cherry ripe and raring to go. And I think there's a bit of a sense of timing about her coming into the race. I know she was only announced an hour or two before the close of nominations, but that doesn't mean that she's not a caliber of dog that can win a race like this. She definitely can. And you look at the box draws from previous years, and boxes 4, 5, and 6 are the draws that have won it. And speaking to the Whelans, they wanted 2, 6, or 8. They like her in the even numbers. They don't mind her out wide, and they're not too upset with the draw. So, as you said, she could roll to the front. She's got a fair bit of strength about her as well in different races too. So she's probably got all the tools to be figuring right in the finish here.
I reckon that's one of the real keys to her is she can win from anywhere on the track, and she has got that blinding early speed, which could have her setting the tempo in the Phoenix. Probably a little bit different to our next runner, which is Smooth Plain. He had me nearly falling out of the broadcast box when I broadcast his trial the other night between races. He went 5.08 early, which was the quickest I think he'd gone at the Meadows to the first mark, and he went 17.56 down the back, which is like our Grand Senior, so that is explosive mid-race speed. Then goes 29.416, which is approximately half a length off the track record of Alan Deed set in, I think, 2016 or 15. So just a crazy trial. I know he's a fast dog. I didn't expect him to be that quick, but he went 4.97 to the mark at Sandown in the Cup Night Sprint. He sort of proved that if he gets the start right, he can show that explosive speed, and he's probably got quicker the older he's got, which we don't really see too often with dogs. But the flip side of that is box number 7 in the Phoenix, I reckon, is nearly, for a dog like him, the worst draw he possibly could have got.
Well, you say that. It's interesting, and I thought it was odd that Tom Daley walked straight across the 7 when he had 4, 5, and 6 available, but going back through his form, he's actually had 6 cracks at box number 7. I know that they're not in races that are the caliber of the Phoenix, but he's 6 from 6. So having that room out wide, maybe there'll be a huge amount of speed just going helter-skelter into that first bend. And if he can avoid that trouble staying out wide, balanced up, we saw that electric turn of foot that he shows down the back and how good he is in the run home. So he just needs a crack at them. Whether the box draw is going to play out like that for him, I'm not really sure, but he's one of those greyhounds that's just bomb-proof. He really doesn't do that many things wrong. He doesn't really have any quirks. He's just a proper race dog. So I think Australian Bloodstock are really happy with their selection, even though there was a few people that probably raised eyebrows at the timing of it. But I think the exhibition trial has quietened those voices a fair bit.
Yeah, I'm not saying anything anymore after what Smooth Plain produced. Tommy Daley, you said he picked the draw of Smooth Plain. Was he having a pretty good afternoon on Sunday? We don't sort of learn too much about the mysterious Daley clan. We know they're the hardest, or one of the hardest working operations in the game, but what was he like on was it Sunday morning for the box draw? Was he up and about?
Yeah, just no fuss sort of operator is Tom. I haven't seen him break a sweat yet, and I don't think we will be anytime soon. But as you said, they're bloody hard workers, the Dailies. They do a fantastic job with a big team, and Smooth Plain is just one of those dogs that goes through probably underrated by many, and he's not out of place in this race, don't get me wrong, but there was a few raised eyebrows, and I don't think Tom Daley or Australian Bloodstock seem to care. They're happy with their boy, and they reckon they've got him right to go and right to win a Phoenix.
I reckon we could take a leaf out of Tommy Daley's book. Daysea's Rory's the last runner we're looking at from Tommy Tzouvelis' kennel up there in Queensland, and the great news is we are about to catch up with Tommy on the podcast. So we're starting to send this podcast nationwide. I think soon we'll be interviewing people over in England. We're going that well, but it'd be good to hear his thoughts ahead of what was a pretty impressive win, let's face it, in the Flame. And the more I guess time goes by, I think we underrate these interstate runners. He came down, he trialled really, really well for a first look. He sort of crabbed a little bit going into the corners and wobbled a little bit. So I think there's massive, massive improvement. It's just such a hard race to win. He's then been chucked in the guts in box number 5. But I honestly feel like as Victorians, we're probably a little bit snobby, and I reckon we underrate the interstate raiders. And this could be a case of it here with him at about 50 to 1 at the moment.
Yeah, I think rightfully so that we kind of look in our own backyard and think that it's the best jurisdiction, because I truly do believe that. I think depth wise, the talent in Victoria is second to none, but the top end talent that you can see, whether it be from WA, Queensland, wherever it comes from, they can come over here and really stamp their authority. We've seen it with Miss Envy. She was awesome through the Melbourne Cup series and comes out and dominates her laurels in a really impressive fashion as well. And Daysea's Rory is a dog that he's just absolutely flying at the right time. He's cherry ripe. Tommy Tzouvelis is absolutely training the house down as of late. He's winning every big race in Queensland, and this is a dog that's just improving. I know he's had well into the 30 odd starts, but he's a dog that's won his last 5 on the bounce. His last 2 have been in Group 3 races. He's got early speed. He's tough. He's tenacious. He ticks so many boxes. Whether he has the class in a field like this, that probably remains to be seen. But I don't think the draw's that bad from box number 5. He, as you said, he wobbled around the corners a little bit. He's not a mad railer or doesn't want off too bad, and he's got Sunset Fraser on his inside. If he camps in the forward half of the field, I think he'd be surprising a few.
I think so. I think he could run a really big race, and I think you hit the nail on the head with the fact that there's still those real top line dogs interstate. Maybe the depth just fades away a little bit. The reserves is an interesting chatter for the Phoenix, because they still have not been drawn. And is it right, Smithy, the 2 reserves will go head to head in a match race on Phoenix night?
Yeah, absolutely. We obviously don't want to run into a situation where we've got a 7 dog Phoenix, so we kind of extend out the reserves a little bit, and it's a bit different to any other race where we don't finalise the reserves till the Wednesday, even though the box draw's been done on the Sunday. So we have a reserve pool at the moment, which I'll have a chat to the slot holders and see who they think they would like to have if unfortunately something went wrong with one of their dogs. And then at the end of the day, it's between the MGRA and GRV to decide who the final reserves are. I've got the reserve pool in front of me, and I think it's in alphabetical order. I'm not that good at my ABCs, but Epitomise, Field Day, Grand Tourer, Iconic Jet, Kia Kaha, and Magistrate, the 2 Queenslanders. Mapunga Tully and Tim Zoo. So Epitomise obviously won the Silver Chief. Iconic Jet went round in that race. Tim Zoo is absolutely flying at the moment. Grand Tourer might be an interesting sort of choice if you're drawn out wide. It's a dog that likes to use plenty of the track. So there's plenty of choices there, and I can't wait to see who we end up with, because the match race on the night is usually a pretty good spectacle. And I think looking at that pool, whoever we end up with, it's going to be a cracking race.
You said, mate, you're no good with your ABCs. My spies tell me at the box draw Sunday morning you're into the ABC shots, which I think is, what are they? They're Bacardi. What else in an ABC? You'd know. You were drinking them.
I'm just more a pint of beer sort of operator these days, Jim. So I've kind
Absinthe.
of let that go past me, and thankfully, because I didn't want to be feeling any worse this morning, I'll tell you that.
It's absinthe, Bacardi, and I can't think what the C is, but I tell you, it's a brutal potion, and we always push gamble responsibly. I think drink responsibly when you're talking about those wonderful drinks. The other thing you mentioned there, mate, was the reserve pools and the match race. I'd love for Sportsbet to come out and say, we're going to frame a market on, do you think the match race will run a faster time than the Phoenix? Yes or no? What do you think? I reckon the match race will go quicker.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all. There's obviously a huge amount of pressure in the Phoenix, with 8 dogs of all vying for that leading position and plenty of early speed on paper. So it wouldn't surprise me at all. I think last year Transponder went quicker than the Phoenix from memory, so it wouldn't shock me at all. And I think the match race would probably actually be favourite, particularly if dogs. Well, there's a pool there. You could pick any number of those. They're all capable of running fast times, and it wouldn't shock me at all.
I reckon it could have been a Phoenix field of 15. If they had the capacity to stretch out the box draw a little bit wider and let 15 of them go, I reckon they could have done it this year. Why should people get to the Meadows on Saturday night? I know I've been there for the first 3, 4th edition this year, and the atmosphere and the noise and the buzz is simply out of this world. But this year it's been labelled the biggest party in greyhound racing. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, look, I'm obviously biased, but I truly do think that the Phoenix is the greatest race on the calendar, and the atmosphere that it creates on course is unlike anything that we really see in our code, and obviously there's other slot races in other codes that feel the same way about their races, but It's truly unique. It's truly a phenomenal atmosphere that you just have so much fun. It's just a great social outing. You obviously can get stuck into the beers if that's your way of going about it, and you've got so many big groups of people that are cheering on particular greyhounds as well. So it becomes a bit tribal, it becomes a bit loose, and it becomes a hell of a lot of fun, and that's what makes the Phoenix so great.
You know what's great, mate? I completely forgot about the number one segment in the podcast, so we're going to slap it in right here. That is the big one, of course, power rankings. A little bit different. I guess it's more like a finishing order or at least something along those lines. It's a nightmare to do this time of year because I think you could run this race 100 times and get 99 different results. But here's my power rankings for the 2024 Phoenix. Starting in position number 1, I'm going with number 8, Explicit. I just think he's got a way to be able to win these, and we saw that in the Melbourne Cup. It's his grand final. He's primed. He's finely tuned, and I think he's ready to win the Phoenix. In for second position, I've got Scalacci, the defending champ. I think the draw brings him right into contention. He was so unlucky in the Melbourne Cup, and he's drawn really well. Position number 3, I've got Sunset Fraser, just a star greyhound. What he did in the heat of the Melbourne Cup shall I never forget. Hence, I've got him in for third position. Excavation up for 4th. He won the Top Gun. He's got outstanding form. He will run well. In for 5th, I've gone with Lakeview Emily. I think she could finish a lot higher than that, especially if she gets a nice cruisy lead through the first 100 metres. I know it's not going to be easy to get a cruisy lead, but she can run the sections that could see her lead and lead quite clearly. In 6th position, I've gone Big Energy. I just think the draw brings him right into the race. I know I'm tipping him for 6th, but again, he could finish a whole heap higher. Smooth Plane. Now, the most impressive trial I reckon I've ever watched at the Meadows last Saturday night, and yet I put him into 7th. Just needs luck from the draw. If he gets it, he could win. There is no surprise about that, but I think the draw makes it hard, so I'm happy to take him on. And Daysea's Rory, I'm leaving him out, probably just because of the fact he's only had the one look at the Meadows. He's never raced there, and he's up against seasoned campaigners who have been there and done it before. So my final power rankings for 2024: in 8, Daysea's Rory, 7, Smooth Plane, 6, Big Energy, 5, Lakeview Emily, 4, Excavation, 3, Sunset Fraser, 2, Scalacci, and on top in the big one, I'm going Greyhound number 8, Explicit.
Thought you might have been just leaving out the power rankings because you couldn't extract the splinters from the anus and you didn't want to go down to 8th. And I tell you what, Jim, I've done some hard things. I've done some hard things working in greyhound racing, but this could be the hardest. And last year, I think I tipped Scalacci 8th and he came out and won. And I have no doubt that whoever I pick as 8th, which I'm about to announce, the connections will actually be happy because it probably means that they're a massive chance of winning the race. But I've gone with you in the first position being Explicit. I think he's the best dog in the country. It'll be a fantastic swan song if you can win the Phoenix, and I don't think box 8 is any hindrance to him. In for second, I've gone Sunset Fraser. He's just flying, and he's going to be putting that pressure on going through that first bend. Smooth Plane, he's just bomb-proof. It doesn't really matter whether he lands last or first. He can just run a really nice race. The reigning champ, Scalacci, from the good draw, comes in for 4th for me. Lakeview Emily just will run just a really nice race, in my opinion, 5th. Daysea's Rory, I reckon, will surprise a few. I don't think the map is too bad for him, and he'll put himself in the race. In for 7th, Excavation. I think if Sunset Fraser nails the start, then Excavation might be in a little bit of trouble copping that pressure. Hence why I've gone Sunset Fraser 2nd and Excavation 7. I'm relying on that map kind of playing out that way. And then in for 8th is Big Energy. And I don't know how you could ever tip Big Energy for 8th. I'm clearly an absolute moron, but we do have to make a decision doing this, Jim. And I'd love to see him run a massive race for Team Greeno and Sportsbet as well. That'd be one hell of a story. But so I'm with Explicit on top from Sunset Fraser, Smooth Plane, Scalacci, Lakeview Emily, Daysea's Rory, Excavation, and Big Energy for last. So I can't wait to see the conjecture that we cop after this, Jim. But as I said, I tipped the last year's champion for 8th last year, so I've got no bloody idea.
With so much depth, so much evenness, it's going to be a wonderful night of racing and a massive, keenly contested Phoenix I'm feeling for this year. Good luck with everything in the build-up, mate. Cannot wait to be out there on the racing.com coverage for Saturday night for the running of the 4th Phoenix at the Meadows.
Can't wait, Jim.
Inside info.
Well, once again, the Green Light On podcast is going nationwide. We're heading up to southern Queensland to the Prince, I guess, of greyhound racing, I think they call him, Tommy Tzouvelis. He's on the line ready for a chat ahead of an engagement at the Meadows, a pretty important one on Saturday night. Tommy, welcome to the podcast, mate. How you feeling?
Good, James. Yourself, mate?
Yeah, going well, mate. You must be pretty pumped. Winning your way into a Phoenix. We hear so much down here and we talk so much in the lead up about slot holders and the big expense, I suppose, of buying a position and then finding a greyhound for the Phoenix. Up in Queensland with the Flame, it's a little bit of a different setup, isn't it?
Yeah, look, it's something Racing Queensland's done since the start, and yeah, look, I mean, we've done all right so far. I mean, they haven't obviously won it yet, but they've had placings from that result. So, yeah, they like this. They like the setup, and it's great for the locals.
Do you pinch yourself that A, there's that option, and B, that you're the one that's in there?
Look, definitely. I mean, especially like this dog. I mean, we only got him like about 5 weeks ago, and the rise by him's just been incredible. So, yeah, look, we've gone from hoping to win a race with him when he first arrived to let's try and win a Phoenix. It's a bit of a jump.
In that 5 weeks, you've won, was it 3 races, I think, in a row at Albion Park, a Group 3 in there. He won the Flame. He's going from strength to strength. Yeah. And to be honest, mate, his trial at the Meadows, I wasn't there in person, but I've watched the replay, and it looked like he sort of was a little bit awkward through the corners. I think there's definitely improvement to be found. And to be honest, when you're sitting there watching it, you think, well, he's probably not going that quick. The time flashes up and you go, well, this is a genuine contender if he gets the right run.
Yeah, look, I was really happy. He didn't travel that good. He flew pretty ordinary the day before. It was the first time flying, new kennels. He's had to go somewhere different. So I was wrapped with the time, 29.992, I think it was. Really happy with it. He's, we'll travel down a little bit earlier this week, and hopefully, his weight's a lot better. He did really struggle from the flight, so he's definitely got improvement. And yeah, he wobbled around the track a little bit. He got lost a bit on the first corner, lost on the 600 corner. So and just as the lids opened, he lifted his head up, so he missed the start a little bit, which they can do at the Meadows. So I find Queensland dogs take a start or two or a run or two to handle the boxes down there. And for him to run 5:10 first up, I was really pleased with that.
Well, in Queensland, you've only got Ipswich and Albion Park on the circles, so he's only really ever seen those 2 tracks and then up the straight behind the drag lure. So I guess for a first-up trial to run sub-30 at a track he's never been to when he's only been to a couple of tracks, it's a pretty impressive trial.
Yeah, look, didn't know what to expect, but was very happy with how he went. And look, hopefully we can shave a little bit off this week.
Mate, the draw's out. What do you make of the centre pin? And I know you weren't down for the box draw, but you would have been on the phone trying to organise the draw. It's a bit of a different setup, the Phoenix, where as the contenders get drawn out, they then get to go and pick their box. And for you, look, the bulk of the good ones were gone, and hence you've been wedged in the middle.
Yeah, I think he's actually pretty well drawn. The discussions I had with Todd was, look, obviously if you came out first, you'd take the red, but didn't think it's entirely his best draw. But 3, 4, 5, we were pretty happy with. The big thing I said to Todd was I wanted to be on the outside of Sunset Fraser, and we've got that part. So, look, explicit out the pink looks awful hard to beat. A dog like him, when he gets a loose head, he's getting a chance to show how good he is. And Fraser, look, if he comes out, I don't think anything leads Sunset Fraser for the first 2 sections. So he won't be coming across us, which is good. But Lakeview Emily surprised me. I thought she might have gone 5, and they went 6. And obviously we were last out. We got the 5. We weren't unhappy with that.
Talk to me about your involvement in greyhound racing, because they call you the Prince, I think, up there in Queensland, but I've got a new nickname for you. I'm calling you Jet Setting Tommy, because every time I open a form guide, you're racing in another state, mate. Talk to me about the change. I know you've sort of gone real helter-skelter in the last 12 months, and you've got the partnership going up there, and it's all going beautifully.
Yeah, look, we've always had if we've got a good enough dog, we're always travelling. Like if just love supporting the country racing and interstate racing. If we've got a good enough dog, the owners know we're going to have a crack at it. So whether it be Townsville or Healesville or anywhere in between, Dubbo, we go to all of them. So very happy to travel with the dogs if they're good enough. Like everything else, you just got to plan for these sort of races, and if they're good enough, you take the opportunity.
You're proving a pretty lethal weapon when you travel interstate. You've got a great strike rate of them running very, very well in the last couple of months. Talk to me about your involvement. Where did Tommy Tzouvelis first get introduced into greyhound racing?
It's actually down there, James. I grew up in Victoria. born in Clayton, and parents used to go to Olympic and Sandown every week, and I've been going to the races since I was in a pusher. So yeah, no Olympic and Sandown very well. Knew Olympic Park very well until it closed. But yeah, we used to go every Monday and Thursday. Mum and Dad just loved the bet, and from that they bought me first greyhound when I was 7. I got an option what I wanted for a present, and that was the option. So yeah, from there we sort of got involved in ownership, and then gradually when Dad retired, he decided to take up training himself, and I made it a full-time thing.
And to move from Melbourne to Queensland, were you after warmer weather and better conditions with the dogs? Because a lot of us Victorians, midwinter, I think we're quite envious of what you're doing up there in Queensland.
Yeah, look, we moved up as a bit of a must for the old man. He was he got a bad car accident. Car T-boned him going to the footy at Waverley Park. Believe it or not, the car went through a stop sign and nearly killed the poor bugger. And yeah, he the weather was just atrocious for him down there. The change of weather, Dad couldn't walk, so we moved north for Dad, and yeah, it turned out a really good move, and no regrets bar the middle of summer here where it gets very hot. Other than that, we're happy to be up here.
What's the best dog you've trained so far, and how does Daysea's Rory shape up? I know you've only had him, as you said, 5 or 6 weeks, but he's into a $1 million race. Is he right up there with the best you've trained, do you think?
Look, it's a bit early to tell, but he keeps on setting the bar higher and higher each week. So, I mean, he's only a young dog. He's only 27 months old. So, hopefully he can just keep improving. We don't really know, but everything we've asked him to do, he's done great. As for the best dog we've had, we've had some nice ones, but my favourite so far is probably Valhalla. He's he was just one of the most honest ones around, and for 2 years he basically dominated up the straight, and we had a good circle dog in him as well, but the money was so good up the straight at Capalaba with him, we just kept him there.
Valhalla, I reckon he was very, very close to being all over a winner in that Capalaba Cup. He went amiss. Where is he right now? Is he looking at coming back to racing, or is he happy retired now, the boy?
He's in light work, but we'll just see. If he's not the same as what he was, he won't come back. He's healing up good. He's probably about 90%, recovered. If he's good enough, we'll bring him back. If he's not, we'll leave him retired. But basically, he's just enjoying life at the moment. So, yeah, he's taken the relaxing route at the moment, and we'll get him registered at stud pretty soon and put a few bitches to him.
Mate, there'd be plenty of Valhalla fans very, very excited about both of those possibilities, coming back to racing or the stud career kicking off. We mentioned earlier about the training partnership. Can you talk to me a little bit about Jetta Cutlack, this young trainer who's conquering plenty of good things up there in Queensland? And is it just a partnership that you guys are training from the same place? Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah, so Jetta came to work for us about nearly 5 years ago now, and just slowly she got went from being just a helping hand, coming over 3 days a week, to working full time, and pretty much she's the face of our team now. She goes to the races all the time, and I'm pretty sure she'll be in Melbourne on the weekend to think she'll be handling if she's not enjoying the festivities too much at the Phoenix. But no, she proved enormous for us. If I go away or if she goes away, we know nothing's going to miss a beat. So, she's been tremendous, and what she's learning all the time, and we're lucky she's still helping us rather than going out on her own. So while that happens, very happy to have her there and keep rolling along like we are.
People telling me that Tommy Tzouvelis is a great muscle man, so I'm assuming that is a key to success as a trainer. Is that something that you think is a bit of an advantage if you can check your dogs well? And have you got any advice for trainers out there if they are attempting to do that and trying to keep their dogs sound for racing?
Look, yeah, being able to fix them is something I've been lucky. I've been taught really well over the years by the previous geniuses we've had checking dogs. There's been a few that are helped me out a lot along the way, and it definitely helps us keep them on the track. If you notice, our dogs, they pretty much race week to week. Barring the ones we're setting for a feature race where we give them a week off here and there and give them a trial or whatever else. The majority race week to week, so we don't mollycoddle them, so to speak, and they return the owners well in turnover for what they earn. So Yeah, look, anyone that's looking to train dogs, I think it's a must to learn the basics at least. Anyone can sort of check a dog to a degree, but learning how to fix them is a different category again.
Tommy, talk to me about the owner of Daysea's Rory, because this in itself is an incredible story. He's a 90-year-old greyhound trainer. Claude Daysea's his name, very good trainer, and now he's got this greyhound with you that's heading to a Phoenix. Can you tell me a little bit about the story, I guess, of Claude Daysea, because he sounds like an extraordinary man.
Yeah, look, Claude's one of those guys that's worked hard all his life, and he's still very active for his age, which is incredible. And he's very sharp. He can still send a text message, which amazes me straight after a race. He's always first on the phone. But no, he was a friend of the family. He was a good friend of the old man's. And yeah, when he gave us the opportunity to take the dog, we can obviously get around to more places, tracks and stuff than he can. And so he knew when the dog was good enough, was worthwhile given to us if we could travel with him. And it's working out that way now. So unfortunately, he's not going to come to the Phoenix himself, but I think his sons are coming down to represent him.
It's a great insight, Tommy. Hey, mate, as we count down to the Phoenix on Saturday night, we wish you well. It's been great to have a little bit of a chat, and we can't wait to see how this Queenslander goes, representing Queensland, Daysea's Rory in the big one. So good luck with everything in the next couple of days, mate, leading up to the big one, and we're cheering for you to run one hell of a race, that's for sure.
Yeah, look, it's very exciting, and thanks to Racing Queensland for having a slot. Otherwise, we're definitely not there because the Queenslanders don't get a look in when they're talking about slot places. So, no, very thankful that that happens, and hopefully it keeps going ahead.
Hey, mate, I was going to end it right there, but I just want to ask you about that because I'll put my hand up, and I actually said on this podcast not too long ago, in fact, probably 15 minutes ago, that I reckon in Victoria we're becoming a little bit snobby and we think our greyhounds are the best. And continuous occasions we've seen dogs from interstate that'll travel down and they'll perform supremely well. I think of Tommy Shelby, Valhalla's another. There's been so many over the last, Miss Envy, just a few that spring to mind. And do you as an interstate trainer see it as the pinnacle of greyhound racing? The way I look at it is Victoria's got a really high depth of hot talent. So when you get to, say, Sandown or the Meadows on a Thursday night, there's a lot of depth in the races, where I feel like the interstate races, they might just taper off a shade depth-wise, but the top of the tree is still as good as anywhere, if not better.
Yeah, 100% agree. The depth there is more depth in Victoria, especially this time of year during your carnivals. Take a dog like Sunset Fraser. He probably doesn't get a start in the Phoenix if he's based in WA still, but because he went to Melbourne, he ran that blistering time in the Melbourne Cup. He was always a big chance of getting a start there. But look, good dogs are good dogs anywhere, but you're right. It's the depth of racing that Victoria has a bit more of. It'll be interesting to see over the next couple of years. As Queensland prize money is pretty good, so the depth is getting better up here all the time.
And that's it for this edition, the final edition, the Phoenix edition of the Phoenix Flight Path. Hope you've enjoyed the last few weeks, punters. Until next time, get to the Meadows, December 21. It is safe travelling and happy punting. What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call 1-800-858-858 or visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.